Sir, good afternoon, sir. And it's a very honor.
Can you please identify yourself?
Okay. My name is Shia, and I'm an UPSC aspirant. And it's a very pleasure to meet you, sir. So my question is, how Indian cities are getting ready to tackle urban floods, which might be intensified due to climate change, and also how we are getting ready to tackle the increasing urban air pollution with many cities in global list of polluted cities.
Okay. So he's asking how does the government plan to tackle the mess that will follow climate change. And the second is air pollution in Indian urban cities.
I must, first of all, thank you very much. I think they are brilliant questions. First on climate change. Climate change and global warming, these are not specific to India. And I think thanks to our leadership, we abandoned the you are responsible, polluter pays principle, I didn't cause the pollution, I only caused 4%. We abandoned that line. We still stick to it in the interest of academic rigor. Because we didn't cause the global warming, frankly. Because we were so underdeveloped. It's those guys who had devastating industrialization, who gobbled up the resources of the earth and produced the problem. But I think the Prime Minister, both in Paris and in Glasgow, changed it. Said we want to be part of the solution. When I was a young diplomat, not so young, I was Secretary to Government, I once asked my Prime Minister the then Prime Minister, you can guess who it is. I said, sir, I want to ask you a question. What exactly is our policy on this issue? Because he had two advisors. One who was a very vocal critic of our government, and another one who was an academic, an IAS officer, but very, very perceptive. So I said, you know, sometimes you listen to the advice of Mr. X and sometimes Mr. Y. Because when he wanted to give this, you know, it's not our problem, somebody else's problem, he would listen to Mr. X, the first person. And when he said, no, we are part of the solution, he would listen, he would use the language of the Mr. Y. Look, make no mistake, we are all in it together. Whoever caused it, we have to solve it. So, first point, insofar as the corrective action is concerned, we are all doing our bit, etc. And I'm sure we can have a separate session, or you can invite Mr. Bhupendra Yadav or anyone, they will give you. Insofar as atmospheric pollution is concerned, I'll give you a student's response. Atmospheric pollution is caused in Delhi partly in winter by parali burning, you know, burning of agricultural residue in Punjab and elsewhere. It's caused by vehicular traffic. It's caused by the toxicity that buildings produce. In order not to take more time, insofar as parali burning is concerned, the route to go down is you don't burn parali, you make ethanol from it. So we have a second generation ethanol plant in Panipat, in one of our companies, IOCL, where we are producing second generation ethanol from burning. There was a lot of problem in aggregation of the waste. I had to call my collaborator, the Chief Minister of Haryana, and I said, I need your help. He said, tell me what? And I said, you give 1,000 rupees per ton for people to aggregate. Because what happens is, once people realize that kachra can result in wealth, they'll say, ye to mera kachra main nahi le jane dunga. Same thing with aggregation. So we have a plant running beautifully there. In Northeast, we have a plant running from bamboo. Okay? And this same facility in Panipat now has a third generation ethanol production from the waste gases which come out of a refinery. That's one. Insofar as vehicular traffic, and I'm glad you asked this question, no, people don't realize 70% of the vehicular traffic on our roads is two-wheelers and three-wheelers. And most of them are now going to battery swaps and so on. And for the cars, we are moving to ethanol, biofuel blending. And IOCL will, in another few days, time have 15 fuel cell buses, huge buses running on green hydrogen as demonstration. And I think we have to accelerate towards green hydrogen. Once we do that, all the fossil fuel use will come to an end. But be realistic, you are young, you are the actual guys who will benefit from 2047 This gentleman is still young, but I am not going to be around. So what I'm telling you is, today the transition is taking place at a breakneck speed. All right. Now I come to buildings. The Prime Minister, Honorable Prime Minister, decided that private sector was already beginning to use green technology. But we had a global housing technology challenge for a full year. We invited all the companies in the world. They come to India not out of philanthropy or altruism. They come to India because they will make money. They are project. So 53 technologies were shortlisted. They were incorporated into the CPWD's list. And finally, 6 of them were selected to produce lighthouse projects. 6 projects where 1,000 units are made using the most advanced green technologies, and 1,000 units in a year. And when the Prime Minister took one of those review meetings, I remember very vividly, we prepared all the statistics and these are the people working, this is the material. He said no, he doesn't want that. He wanted to see it in real time, that is using satellite imagery and drones. So this technology, on all fronts we are moving, but we still have to we keep sending silent, land is a state subject. Beyond a point, the central government cannot tell a state government as to how to done it. But we keep issuing advisories on urban flooding, on, checking pollution and all these things. But it's happening.
Any other question? One more question, I think.
Hello, sir. Myself, Anay Kumagan from DG Vaishnav School of Management. My question to you is, you were saying about ethanol, and I would like to know your opinion on ethanol-based cars, which Toyota is producing, and Mr. Respected Nitin Gadkari sir also seems to have advocated the same, that we need to use the hybrid cars, ethanol-based cars. So how it is going to be the future? Substantially, because the first preference is going to be gasoline as far as petroleum and diesel is concerned. So how do you see the future for ethanol and other products?
Thank you very much. I'm glad you asked the question. Between 2006 and 2008, from January, 2006 January to 2008, I had the privilege of being posted as India's ambassador to Brazil. And I got completely fascinated by the ethanol story. So I have a very senior friend sitting here. Whenever I used to come from Brazil, they used to make fun of me. They say, oh, ethanol has come, ethanol has come. Because whenever I came to Delhi, I used to talk about ethanol. Look, the beauty of ethanol is that you can make ethanol in any rural economy with minimal investment. The beauty of ethanol is that ethanol can be made from a diverse range of feedstock. In Brazil, because it's a very fortunate land, it has 3 times our land area, it has 1/6 our population, and it has 23% of the world's freshwater reserve. They largely make ethanol out of sugarcane. The United States makes ethanol largely out of maize or maca. We make ethanol from sugar, from maize, from agricultural waste, from bamboo, and diverse field. Ethanol run cars are commonplace. This 20% blending is actually a mindset problem in our case. Because when ethanol blending was tried in the previous government, we decided that we wanted 15 of our states and union territories to have 5% blending. Because we didn't have the ecosystem, we didn't succeed. By 2014, we had 1.4% blending. Then the current Prime Minister set a target of 10% blending by November 2022. We did it 5 months in advance. Target of 20% blending by 2030, we brought the target to 2025. Why this 20% blending mindset? Because somebody told us, and I'll tell you who, the Society of Indian Automobile Manufacturers, SIAM, said that if you blend 20%, you don't need to change any parts in the car. There are corrosive parts which corrode easily, and so you don't need to change anything. But I pointed out to them, and I had meanwhile become Petroleum and Natural Gas Minister. I said that in Brazil you can go to a petrol bunk any day, and depending on the international price of petrol or ethanol, you can in your car computer decide whether you want 85% of petrol and 15% of ethanol, or the other way around, 85% of the other and 15% of this. So after that, and the other thing is that all the cars which are using ethanol in Brazil are also manufacturers. They are also the ones supplying cars here. So E85 cars have started coming. What I see as the future, I told you, as a result of ethanol blending so far, we have saved about 70,000 crores and we've given that money to our farmers. When we did 10% blending, we saved 41,000 crores. We were able to give 42,400. My sense is that ethanol will become the norm. Today, we already, thanks to the Indian presidency of the G20, we have an international global biofuels alliance. When I was in Davos till a few days ago, the whole intellectual focus and energy is that the European Commission now wants to mandate 5% SAF, that is sustainable aviation fuel, blending for flying aircraft. Now, where can you manufacture the ethanol? You can only manufacture it in Brazil or in India, or maybe China, but you'll consume its own. So ethanol has a great future, and ethanol's time has come. And I think in the coming time, the manufacturer, just now if you buy one of the current models of cars, you'll probably buy something which will be petrol and electric. The next generation of cars which is coming will be ethanol and electric. So there will be displacement of fossil fuels as we go along. But no matter which way you peel this onion, at the core of it lies the fact you need to scale up ethanol production. Now you can ask me, but we don't have much sugar. I saw today the sugarcane crop is going to be higher than the forecast, the one I think I read in one of your papers. But we can also produce ethanol from seaweed. We haven't even got started. We can produce seaweed, ethanol from so many other feeds. And I think that is where our scientists and technologists will be providing answers for us.
Who was the second question here? And then, please give a mic to that last one first. Okay? Yeah. Let him ask, then we'll get.
Good evening, sir. I'm Santosh Krishna from Shastra University. Am I audible? Yeah. Okay. With the recent conflicts of Iran and Pakistan, we obviously know that there would be a hike in oil prices and all. But what degree of impact will it have, and how long will we be escaping the sanctions of the West? I understand that India has grown as a superpower and is growing as a superpower, but then still they too hold a greater power at present.
No, there are two aspects to your question, my friend. One is, you said something about Iran and Pakistan, and I think you meant the Red Sea and oil prices impact. But the other one is that how far can we avoid sanction? Now, my mind is certainly not wired to receive any pressure, and I don't see why there should be any pressure on India. If your question is buying Russian oil, I don't want to let out a secret, but is very well known. The West is very happy that we buy Russian oil, because if we don't buy Russian oil, you know what will happen? Oil price will go up to 250. So why should there be any upset? What they tell us is buy the Russian oil cheaper so that more money doesn't go into their coffer. But price is not something you and I determine. We float tenders and we pay for the oil at the point of importation at our ports. So we'll float a tender saying X units of oil required. Whoever gives us the cheapest price, we'll buy from there. Insofar as the Red Sea and this thing is concerned, look, Iran and Pakistan, I spent 39 years in another profession. What strikes me as very interesting about all this is, and I'm going to choose my words very carefully, that whenever there was a cross-border terrorist action against us, and we would talk to the concerned authorities, we were told, "Arey bhai, ye to non-state actors hai." अब क्या हुआ? वो भी तो non-state actors थे, पर non-state actors ने state actors को involve करवा दिया. So, this is exactly the point I've been making all these years, that these non-state actors have an umbilical relationship with the state. So that part is sorted, but now I know that I read somewhere the foreign minister of Iran is going there and they'll sort it out. But we issued a statement, and a very good statement, and we said that Iran had a right to defend itself against these terrorist attacks, and the right to self-defense always comes in there.
So, given your US avatar and life outside, do you think the conflict, Hamas and Israel, and it being cornered in 3 places, do you think it could develop into a wider conflagration, or it will be contained because of interests?
No, it will be contained, and it should be contained for a simple reason. Shankar, I don't think any country in the world today wants the outbreak of large-scale hostilities. Now, there were fundamental changes taking place in that part of the world. You know, we never heard of Israel and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia coming to terms, Iran and the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So some of the non-state actors, for whatever reason, you'll never be able to make a determination whether a non-state actor acted on his or her own, or whether they had the backing of somewhere else. But I think today, everyone who's part of this ecosystem and who has some stake in this would not want large-scale hostilities to take place. But on the price of oil, which our young friend asked, I'm not a soothsayer. I mean, tomorrow, if there is a major disruption in the supply lines, you know, then you'll never be able to say, you can reroute the thing, but insurance rates go up. What happens? So far, I think, and I'm choosing my words carefully, so far, I'm hopeful and reasonably confident that the conflict can be contained, and in the process, you know, we can keep oil prices from shooting.
On that note, we'll end this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, drawing this session to a close, I'd like to invite our CEO, Ms. Lakshmi Menon, to present our speakers with mementos.
Realizing the promise of GYAN, Viksit Bharat. A lot for us to carry forward, ladies and gentlemen. The insights, the inputs have been truly valuable. A loud round of applause. We'll also be joined by very special thanks to our speaker and session chair for doing the honors and sharing your valuable thoughts. A very special session, ladies and gentlemen. A loud round of applause for our speaker and session chair. The next session, we continue with our session chair, Mr. Shankar Iyer. Of course, this is going to be reminiscent of the past couple of years, with it being a hybrid session. We have our speaker who's going to be joining us virtually, and our session chair, Mr. Shankar Iyer, here on the